Hey everyone, Build It here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be doing the wiring of the Instop switches. Now what I don't know, and they don't show you in their manual, is which way to connect up the actual switches. So what I've done is I've pulled out my meter, which I have set for measuring ohms, which is resistance, and I'm going to connect to the switch and see which way it goes, how the switch connects. So I'm going to turn this whole printer around. I have it laying down so it's easier to get to the electronics, which is where we're going to be hooking up everything. So I'm going to go to one of the switches and I'm going to go all the way end to end and see what I got. Okay, so I got a short from end to end, so that's without it being connected. That means that we got to go to the middle. And so right now it's open. So I don't, let's see, I'll turn on my other camera so you can see what I'm doing here. I'll put it right here, put my ohm meter here, where you can see it. And I'll turn on the other camera, which I already had set up. And you can see there's my ohm meter. You can see it says open loop, there's nothing connected. When I short the two probes together, it'll go to a short, 0.2 ohms, that's basically a short. And if I go across the switch from end to end, because there's 3 tabs on it, it's basically a short. If I go to the middle, it's not a short anymore. So I'll go to the middle here, and then I'm going to actually close the switch. And nothing happens, right? That's not good. Maybe I'm not connected to it. Okay, let's try again. I know I'm connected to it now. Nothing. Let's go to the middle, to the other end. So we can get in there. Not easy to get to. So I'm going to go to the middle on this here, and I'm going to go to the other end of the switch. And I'm going to, if I can get on there, close the switch. Yep, close the switch, and there's the short. Oh, it was. I can't get. It didn't stay there. My probe's are moving. So there we go. I got a short across it. I hope you can see that. Can't tell because my hands might be in the way. I can't tell if I'm in the way or not. Move the camera. Get that one on that switch. Get that one on that one, and then I'll close the switch, and you can see it's a short across there. So I'll show you which way it goes on the switch itself. So look at this switch here, and basically the end closest to, okay, so if you can see that, get down there. Yeah, so now you can see that switch right there. This switch right here. You see, here's the lever. I'm pushing it right now. The end closest to the lever, there's a tab. That's the tab you want to use, and the middle tab. So that's where we want to go with our switches, with our Instop switch wiring. Those are the 2 tabs we want to connect to. So I'm going to go ahead and throw it on this one, if I can get it in there. It comes from the top and then it doesn't matter which way. By the way, they got too much plastic on this one. I'm not going to be able to even plug it in the way that plastic is. So I'm going to trim that plastic off on this so that I can get my wire through. And I'm going to plug that in. It doesn't matter which way you plug it because it's just a switch. It doesn't matter whether it's red or black, which direction, or which one has red wire, which one has black wire. It's up to you. Whatever you do, be consistent though, so that way you always know which way you did it from one to the next to the next to the next. I'm going to grab this with a pair of needle nose so if I can grab the damn thing. Grab it with a pair of needle nose, and I'm going to put it on the end of the switch here. So that's one. So I put the black one on the very end, and then I'm going to put the red one in the middle. If I can grab a hold of that. And of course the nut for the mounting the switch is in the way of this. So that's not a good thing either. That's kind of too bad that it's in the way, but that's life, huh? Damn it! Come on, grab that. Get it on there. I don't know if I can get it on there because that nut's in the way. Because the screw is in the way, I should say, not the nut. Damn it. Yeah, so this was not well planned out on their part because that screw is right in the way of the switch. And that's a problem, right? Because you can't really get on there and put the wire on because of it. Yeah, I can't even get it on there because of that being in the way. Well, I got it. So you have to be really cautious with this. I got it on there. Okay. That's going to be a fight on every one of them. So now we can actually look at the switch here, or the connector on the end that actually plugs into the control board, and see if I can do the same thing we did before with my ohm meter. Can you see it? No, can't see it. Okay, there's the ohm meter. I'll lay this right next to it so you can see it. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the two probes right on the wires here. And right now they should be open. And we should see it OL on my meter. And then I'm going to close the switch and it goes through a short. And that's what you're looking for, because when this block rises up and it hits that switch, that's the home position on this. And that's going to be on all of these. And that's what we're going for with this. So that's where we are. That gets that done. So that's the first switch. I'm going to go ahead and put all the switch wires on. You don't need to watch me do this. I mean, you saw one, or maybe, well, I actually didn't show it connecting, did I? I'll zoom in on the next one, and we'll let you see the actual connections of the wires as I do it. Turn my meter off so I don't waste my batteries. And I'm going to roll this whole thing over. And I'm going to bring my camera in from the other side here. And see if I can get that. Where is it? Can you see it? Okay, I'm going to move this back out of the way. The switch is right here. You can see the little red tab underneath the lever. One wire is going to go on this end, and let's make absolutely sure that's correct. It should be the same on every switch, but you know, this is Chinese. Sorry, I hate to keep saying that, but you know, I've dealt with China for many years. Grab it there, and yeah, so that's still the same way. Okay, just wanted to make absolutely sure that that everything switches the same. And then we'll grab another wire here. Same problem. See how they got this? I don't know if you can see this. They have too much plastic on here that you cannot get to the end of you cannot plug that switch in, or that wire in. So I'm going to trim that off again, just like I did the other one. Okay, now I'm going to plug the black wire, because that's the way I did on the other one, on the very end one. And I'll grab it with my, these are my angled beetle nose pliers. So I'm going to grab that with my angled beetle nose, and I'm going to get that to go onto the switch here, onto the tab for the switch. What I think I'm going to do is on the middle tab here that has the thing in the way, I'm actually going to bend it toward this edge over here, and that'll give me an angle that I can come in for the other wire without having to come over the top of the screw and fight with the screw and try and get this. If I can get that on there, I can't really see it. No. Can I get that on there? Can't really see what I'm doing, so you'll excuse me. I'm going to stand up here so I can kind of see. Nope, everything's getting in the way here. So really, this would have been easier to put on without the belts being in the way, but I'll get it. and we'll get it on there. Come on. Nope. Again, this plastic sleeving is getting in the way. Okay, so I'm gonna, if I didn't shrink it on this one, didn't shrink it down. Come on, get on there. No, did I have it? Nope. Bring that tab over a little more. There. Got them on, and I'll slide the plastic down over the piece now. Alright, so now I got the second one on. And we got one more to go. So both wires are on this switch. We'll make absolutely sure that it works. Use my ohm meter and test the switch again at the actual wire connector that goes to the control board. And then we'll go through each one and yeah, so that's working, that's good. Let's see, one more to go. So we're gonna move my camera, sorry guys. Rotate the whole printer again so I can get to the next switch. Now I laid my printer down for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to be easier to wire to the control board, which we're going to do in a minute once I get all the switches, push wiring connected up. And we'll get this totally resolved here. And we'll grab the black. The easier of the two to do. And if I can get it over the switch. Okay, got that one over the switch. And now we're going to do the red. I'm going to slide that plastic back farther this time, even farther this time. Now if you have a heat gun, you can shrink this tubing down a little tighter after you have it in place. And that will allow the, oops, let me put that through first. Grab that. Maybe I can get it on there. Nope, missed it. Missed it. Really hard to see up close for me. Okay, that's on. Right now, it's without that plastic over it, though, it's shortened against the screw that's holding the switch in place. Come on, get the plastic to slide down. Ah, there we go. Got it. Got it. Come on. A little more. There. Okay, got the plastic back over the wire, and I'll do a test of the actual connector that goes to the control board just to make sure everything's working. Because nothing's worse than getting there and then you go, oh, it doesn't work. And push the switch. Oh, guess what I did wrong. I have this switch installed reverse of everything else, and so I put it on the wrong end. So I put the black wire on the wrong end. And I'll come back over the top here. And that is why you test, right? So that you catch the problem like that before you go on, because if you go on and it doesn't sense that switch, you'll never be able to home the printer. Oh, missed it. Slide the plastic. There we go. And now we'll hook up to there and push the switch. And that's break time. My breakfast is ready, so I will stop here. All my switches work, so this is stop for this moment. Oh, where are my glasses at? Damn it. Crap, forgot my glasses. Okay, so we're back. We're back from breakfast. Getting ready now to start on this next part of this build. I'm going to move this printer around a little bit so we can get a better view of things. I'm going to bring this other camera over. So we need to be able to see what we're doing here. Now, what they didn't show you in the... Let me get this lined up properly. Okay. So they didn't show us in the manual with actually plugging in the wires for the for the switch, for the Instop switches. Now, one problem is that you got to remember the motors are right here. These things could turn and rub and cause a problem. So make sure you route them down out of the way here, so they're not going to get rubbed against the gear as it turns and stuff, or moving your effector plate and hence the nozzle around. The other thing we need to do is figure out where the actual Instop switches are, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking these are the Instop switches here because it's got 3 of them plugged in here. So that's probably where our Instop switches go, but I don't know which one's which yet. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to a different picture of the board so we can maybe see a little better which one's which. Not find anything there. Let's see. This drawing here shows where the switches are, and here's where they are located. So the very first one in it is the Z-axis, and the next one over, actually like 1, 2, 3 over, is your Y-axis, and then 1, 2. Okay, so first one, second, third one, and 5th one on that row of, well, other way around on their thing. So it goes 2, 4, and 6 on the rows of the pins. So considering the way that it's mounted, it's going to be these pins here, and it's going to be, so 6 is on the very end, and that's our X-axis. So let's see, I marked X as being this one right here, which is the wire I was just playing around with. So that's going to be my X-axis. Doesn't matter how they plug in, because a switch is not polarized. It doesn't care. It's either open or it's closed. And we want to put it on the 2 here and plug it in, just like that. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come over here and we're going to grab the next one, which is my Y. And Y should be the one in the middle from that, which would be, it was 6, 5, 4. So we'll plug that into 4. And then we'll take the last one here and we'll bring it around underneath over here like that. And bring it actually around under the board and back over. And that goes into row 2. 2, right? Okay, where I just lost where the wire was. Okay, here it is. This is 2. We got more connections than they show. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I actually have 7 rows in mine. I don't know what they got going on here. So maybe I need to take a closer look at this so I can actually see what's happening here, because that's going to be a problem with this when there's more than what you should have. And I can't read that. It says Instop is all it says. And I can't see which one's X, Y, Z on their picture. It's just too small to read it. So let's start from the other end, because I don't want to do this wrong. And we're going to start with our Z, like I was starting to do before. And I'm going to start counting from where it actually says 1 on the board. So I'm going to start from there, and I'm going to put it in 2. And we got that one in. My wire doesn't want to stay routed the way I want it, but I'll figure that out in a while. Okay, so I got that one in place. And then we're going to go skip 1, put 1. I believe that's the way it goes. Well, skip 1 or skip 2. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, it was on 2, then 4. Sorry, I put it in 1. Okay, so put it, oh yeah, I put it in 2. We go 3, 4. And then 5, 6. Get the damn thing on there. And now I got all my 3 Instops plugged in. Oh, got it wrapped around the board here. Okay, so then I got everything plugged in here. That kind of keeps things in a little bit neater. And that's all your Instops. So all our Instops are in place. Sorry, I'm moving the camera on you. So I went 2, 4, 6, and it's all plugged in. That goes from 2 is 2 is X, 4 is Y, 6 is Z. Oops, sorry, 6 is Z. So that gets those all in place. We got all those now where we want them to go. Let's see what else. There's one more set of wires that need to plug in, which is an extruder wire, because there's the other extruder motor. That's can you see it? That's this extruder motor right here. That needs to plug in. So one of these long wires, I'm assuming right here, like this one right here. And of course you got to cross them, which I've already done on it. This one already has the crisscross done on it. That will plug into the motor. What I'm going to do though is I'm actually going to feed it through this hole in the top right here, because that's probably where the wire needs to go down to the extruder motor. And then the other end here will plug into E1 or E0. Sorry, it'll plug into E0. And I got to remember which way it goes. So that's this motor right here, E0, and it goes in this last one right here. We're going to plug it into that. It says the blue wire is toward the end of the board over here, and the black goes on that side. So we're going to take and plug. Where did I go? Plug this guy. So black on this end, black on this end. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see that. And we're going to plug this in there, and that gets that extruder, the wires for the extruder motor plugged in there. Then we have let's see, here's our display board here. I'm going to zoom the camera out now because we don't need to see up close anymore. And I'm going to zoom that camera, and I'm going to bring it out so I don't need to be zoomed in anymore. Where's my zoom at? I can zoom that out. And then apply, okay. Okay, so we've got that zoomed out now. So this is the display board. We're gonna get this ready to go. I threw the knob on it, but it doesn't need to be on there yet. But hopefully my plastic thing will work. I glued it. It seems to be holding okay. So it appears to be, I call it plexiglass, but acrylic. It appears to be acrylic, so that's cool. Basically, the display is going to mount on here like this. Can you see that okay? Let me bring the camera out a little more. So here's the display. It goes on there basically like that. There's some spacers. The spacers are going to go in here, and the screws are going to go in. Then this is going to get mounted. Unfortunately, they didn't include that and talk about that earlier because it's obviously going to go in that slot, and they didn't talk about that. I'm going to stand the printer up because I don't need it laying down anymore. Wait, I need to plug in one more thing, which is to plug in our display wires. Now let's get the right ones here. They don't show it on this picture here at all. Do they have it anywhere? No. Yeah, they show it on here, but they don't show it plugged in. And here's the display. Nice. Page cable. The screen above is marked EXP1, EXP2. Do not connect incorrectly, otherwise screen will not light. If the screen is not lit but no character display, you can rotate clockwise or counterclockwise the bolts in the blue circle. It's really not a bolt. I don't know why they call it a bolt. That's actually a trim capacitor or a trim pot, maybe. I'm not sure which one it is. But nice that they aren't showing you how to actually connect the thing. Here's what they're talking about: EXP1, EXP2 on there. They aren't showing it connecting actually to the display. So let's see what it says on the display itself. Does it say EXP? Yeah, it does. Okay. So it doesn't say on the actual board which one's which. So I'm going to make a slight assumption here. I'm going to say this is EXP2, and I'm going to, wow, I'm going to fit. That's weird. Wow, there we go. Got that one plugged in. Plug the other one in. Now what I'm going to do for the sake of maybe the other one. Yeah. For the sake of putting this together, there. I'm actually going to mark my cables, and I'm going to put on the other end. In this case, this should be EXP2. So I'm actually going to mark on my cable EXP2 on the end. And that way, if I ever need to take it apart for whatever reason, I know which cable is which without having to trace it out and figure it out again. This was EXP2. There's 2, EXP2. I wrote on that cable EXP2. And on the other cable, I am going to write EXP1. And there's EXP1. So that gets those done. So I'm going to kind of assume something here, and I don't know if it's the correct assumption or not. I'm going to make this connector here, sorry, where you can see it. I'm going to make that connector there EXP2. And I'll plug my display board in, my display cable into that. Maybe. There, got it. Okay, so I got that one in, and I'll plug the other one, of course, into EXP1, or what I assume to be EXP1. And if it doesn't work, it's just swapping the two cables, and it'll fix the problem. And that'll get that done. So that basically is a display as far as that goes. We're going to grab a couple of spacers and a couple of more spacers. Let's see, do they show how to assemble the frame for that? Nope. Maybe in the mechanical assembly. There we are. There it is. Okay. So we use M320s. which we should have many of those left because we didn't use M320s on the darn it, belt holders because they are too long. So those should be left over from that, and we'll turn that. I'm leaving the plastic on so that I don't get it all filthy and dirty while I'm putting it together here. So we're going to put a screw through and a spacer, and then you need an M3 nut to go on the back of that. Grab our M3 nut, put it on, spacer, screw, screw, spacer. I'm going to move my camera so we can actually see this a little better maybe. Yeah. So I got the screw and the spacer, and then an M3 nut. Excuse me. Wow, that does not want to. That nut doesn't want to go on for some reason. I'll grab another one. Might be the screw. Nope, it's fine. So it's a nut. And then we'll grab another 20mm screw and another spacer. And put it through. I'm going to start with the other end because it's not going to want to lift up as much on the board when I do the last one. And I'm against the edge over on this side, so I want to kind of do that one first so that it's easier to find that. And we'll grab a nut and maybe get started, maybe we won't. Okay, got that one on. We got one more screw, spacer. This is going to be a little harder because I don't have much play with the board to move it. So I'll put that one underneath first. Slid back on me. Now I'll get lined up with the hole and I'll put the... Oh, that's the wrong way. Come from the front, go through, and into the board. Grab a nut. And get that started. Now I got all three of my nuts in, and I got my basically got it mounted. And now I'm going to grab my M3 hex driver. Might have to grab a pair of pliers to grab the nut on the back to tighten this. Yeah, you have to grab pliers to tighten it. Of course, the best way is to grab a nut driver that's the size to fit these M3s, but I'm not going to do that. That would require me to go down to my garage and dig through my crap and find something that fits, but I don't want to do that. I'll just go ahead and use a pair of pliers. They're here. I have them. As Mikey says, just do it. And get that one and that one. Okay, as with most of these kits, they don't have anything that goes in this hole for this button here. So that's, you know, a problem on their side, not a problem on my side. They didn't provide that, and I found that with 90% of the kits you'll find. For example, here's my other Delta printer. You can see the other one. It doesn't have anything in that hole either because for some reason they don't want to provide you with something to hold the switch, you know, something to push on the switch. All it takes is, I could probably design something in 3D print. It just takes a button the same size, a little bit smaller than the actual hole, but a little bit larger on the other side, and then thick enough that it just touches the switch. So you might want to make it long enough so it just touches the switch on this side, and then it goes through, and then you just push on it, and it'll push the switch. It's really not that difficult. I don't know why they can't seem to get that and do that, but It's a, you know, as they say, whatever. The way the knob works, it's a push. It's a push button. It's also a turn. So what you'll do is when we have software loaded, we'll turn the knob, select the menu item, push the button to actually select it. And that's the way that works. So that's ready to go. Now, I pointed out on Facebook that there's a part missing, because there's like a little box that fit underneath this control board, and they don't have that. So I don't know what the deal is with that. The other thing is I don't see how this is actually gonna work. I guess, you know. Oh, okay. So this is our input to the right here. This is our output on this side. There's a pot here you can trim. It might be a cap. I don't know whether there's a pot or it looks like a pot. Which the pot stands for potentiometer. This is the switch that turns on and off manual control of the big motor, the big gear reduction motor. So that's all that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put some spacers on here, and we're going to basically assemble this with spacers, since I don't have the other part that goes with that. And I'm sure it's probably M320s again for this. Let's see if we can find it here. Right here. M330s they're using. Okay. I don't know why 30s, but whatever. So we'll put our M330s on there. Okay. And they didn't. I don't think they provided M330s. We have an M3 something that's really long here. That might be a 30, but I don't. They didn't provide 4 of those. So the 2 M330s and something different. Doesn't say. It just says M330s, and they only provided 2 M330s. So I don't know what the deal is with that. That's the only 2 that came in my kit that were 30s. But I have plenty of screws. I have plenty in my kit. Let's see, let's make sure those are indeed 30s. We'll pull out my calipers, and I'll expand that to 30. So there's many ways you can measure it, rather than just sit there and keep pulling it to the device. I'm just going to set it. I'm going to set it for 30, and then I'm going to lock it. And I can just hold it up to the screw and go, oh, nope, that's more like a M335. So that ain't the screws. And I know that ain't the screw. That's more like a 40. Maybe this. Nope, that's another 35. So I don't have any M330s. I have 35s. Oh wait, this is a 30. There's a 30. This is a 30 with a shoulder. I'm going to keep that for something else. That's a 30. 30. And 30. Okay, so I got 4 30s there. So now I can unlatch that, and I'll put it away for now. Okay, so I got 4 M330s. I don't know if those are 4 yet. I'll put those back in my magnetic tray over here out of the way. And then we need some spacers. 2, I just dropped 1, 3, 4. And I'm going to come through here, here. I don't know why they're using M330s. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because there was supposed to be a box under this, and this probably went through the box, but there's no box. So I'm not going to use M330s because I don't have the box. There's no sense in me using M330 and wasting that kind of a screw when I can go with, like, let's see, will that fit through, or is it too short? I'll use this. I don't know what it is. I haven't measured it. Let's find out what that is. We'll find out what size that is, and that'll be what I use. It looks more like a 16 to me. Or a 15 rather, or whatever. Or M320. So I'm using M320. I don't see a sense in using an M330 for something when I don't have the box as they show in the drawing, which is what I asked about on YouTube, if anybody received that or not. And just grab a M3 nut. Excuse me. And grab that one. Oops, went right through both holes. You know, if I want it to go through the hole, it won't go through. But when I am just trying to do something, it just wants to rush right in there, no problem. There's that. That's too short, I know what it is. That's a 16. That looks like a 20. Yeah. That one in. There it is. One last spacer. And one last nut. And that gets that on. Grab my pliers and my T-handle, and we'll tighten this guy up. And then do the same thing on the other one. And the next one. And the next one. And that completes that. Okay, so the way this really works, the input, which is coming from the control board, output actually goes to the motor itself, so to the big gear reduction motor. This plugs into the output side of that. The switch switches it between the Arduino board controlling it, or manual control. The switches also control like the direction, counterclockwise or clockwise, so you can thread it in, thread it out. When you're done, after you've extruded all your material, after you've pushed almost all the clay and it's almost to the end, you need to actually reverse this, put it in manual mode, turn the pot, get the thing to move the screw all the way back, which will probably take a couple of hours for it to move the screw because it moves so slow. And then I don't know what the last switch is for. Hard or soft. So I guess that controls, maybe that's the strength of the clay, you know, whether the clay is soft clay or hard clay. So that may be what that's for. So that's probably what that's all about. I highly recommend, if you're doing anything in 3D printing for any length of time, or have more than one printer, buy yourself a whole set of screws. They come in very handy, as you can see. Like whenever I need a screw that, well, their screws are there, they don't necessarily match what we want. And I had to re-glue a couple of my effectors because the glue didn't hold. And that really is a dampener on things, because that glue needs to hold. And I've redone them, so they're hopefully they're strong enough now. What happened was, when I put the extruder on the effector plate, it started pulling them out because that glue didn't set. So I mixed some new glue and I redid it, and hopefully that will hold that in place now. That probably happened when I was mixing up the second batch of the glue, because the first batch of glue hardened too quickly that I couldn't assemble all of the parts. So I had to mix up some more glue, and I think I had not enough hardener mixed in, and so it never really hardened. So I pulled them out completely and re-glued, mixed up some new glue and glued them back in again. Let's see. So one of the things they didn't show you, like I said, on the top rail here, they didn't put any screws in here to actually mount this display. And without that box, I don't know how this is going to mount, because that was supposed to, the box is basically how this thing was supposed to mount. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. I may have to make something myself again, something else I can print and design and 3D print on one of my printers in the garage. I might print these reset buttons too. Maybe I'll model it up, and there probably is one on Thingiverse or one of those other websites like that probably has those. Okay, so let's go on to the next thing. The next thing we're going to do is, so the way this really works is you have that the power supply for this, which I don't know where I put it at the moment. But that power supply, is this it? 12 volt 3 amps. Just want to make sure I grab the right one, because I have a similar brick. What's that one? Well, I know this, so it's got to be this one. I told somebody it was. Oh, okay. It was 100. Whoever I told 12 volt 3 amp, that was wrong. It was a 120 to 243 amp. The 12 volts is 10 amps on this power brick. So the way this was going to work is this plugs into the power brick like that. There's nothing on the display right now because there's no software loaded. But you saw that the backlight lights up nice and pretty blue. Then what happens is this other switch right here, it comes right off the power board, because remember we joined those two wires together. That plugs into the motor drive board on the power over here, which is the P on this guy here. And I can flip the switch over then, and it would, if the motor was connected, I could turn the knob and it will start moving the motor again. So that's the way that's designed to work. I'm going to unplug it, and I'm going to unplug this. Unfortunately, they don't have a switch built into this, so you can't just turn it on and off. Once you plug it in, it's on. Period. Done. That's not a good thing. We really need to put a switch in that. So maybe I'll look online and find a switch I can install into this, and go from there. So let's see. We got this all together. I may need to open up this and take that top rail off. Loosen it up so I can get to the slot and put a piece in the slot so I can mount this plate, mount the display on it. Let's stand this all up. I'm dragging the boards around with the display and the motor drive. May need to redo one of those power wires. They're a little on the short side on this. So I don't know which way this is supposed to go, but if I mount it like that, it's not going to work. Did they put a spacer under that when they did it? No. So again, one of these things that they didn't show you how to do. Let's see. They're using M5/8 to mount this housing, but they didn't put anything in the slot for you to mount that to. So I'm thinking what they're doing is that they're actually using these M5/8s, and they're actually Phillips screws. Now I bet you that's how wide the slot is. Yep. So you're just screwing it right into the slot. You don't need to have anything mounted. That's why they didn't show anything. Now what I would do, these display wires are going to be in the way. So how are you going to do that, right? So you have to route them over to the side out of the way here. And then we'll put it here on the, get it in here. And I find a Phillips screwdriver here, which is right here. And we'll start screwing that sucker into the rail here. And I'm trying to center it as I'm eyeballing the centering. It's not important. It'll work the same no matter whether I get it exactly centered or not. Find that other M5 Phillips screw, and we'll put that in on this side. And now I got my display mounted, and you can't see it. So let's see. Turn this way so you can see, and I'll tilt the camera up. Bring it forward here. Tilt it up, and now you can see I've mounted this display on there. Now if I plug it in, you'll see it lights up, like I said before. Lights up. Right? So you can see that blue color here. I don't think there's any firmware. It is flashing, so I don't know if that means I don't know if there's firmware loaded on this board or not. I see a light flashing on the board. But beyond that, I don't know anything. And they're supposed to mount, let's see. We did this. I don't see how you mount it. I'm going to zoom in on that some more. Let me hide the other camera because we don't really need it right now. And you can see this right here. Right there is that. And I'm trying to figure out how to mount this, how that mounts. Now it could be that there is no box. That might actually be the motor itself, that it's actually mounting to the motor. Oh, didn't think about that. That could be the case. Let me, let me zoom in on that a bit. Nope, it's not mounting to the motor. You can see it right there. Zoom in on that. You see it's like this box thing here. They don't show you anymore. They show that box. How do you mount it? What are you mounting it to? Is this floating there in space? It just seems to be floating in space here. That's really sweet of them, isn't it? And they show 1, 2, 3 here. Well, I don't have a 1, 2, 3, so I don't know what they're talking about. 1, 2, 3. Oh, because they don't have the toggle on theirs. You see, there's no toggle here. This is supposed to be like the little switches, I guess. So there's 1, 2, and then the toggle, which turns on and off manual or program control. And so I don't know what they're doing on that as far as why they have 1, 2, 3. There is no 1, 2, 3 on mine, so I don't know what that's about. So P is power. I don't know what the R is and what the G is that's on this panel. Probably like reverse, forward, reverse. And yeah, G. What is G? So I don't know what G is. So anyway, so that's this, but I don't know how we're going to mount it because there's nothing. They didn't give me. I could just set it in the slot here, but what does that do? Nothing. So I don't get what this was about. There's nothing that says how to mount this, which is too bad. They didn't show you how to do these wires either. There's nothing to show you how to do it. Where you're going to run them, where you're going to route them. That doesn't show either. This doesn't show anything for mounting this. How you gonna put it? I would have it mounted right here on top. If I had a way to do it, I would mount it right up here so that way I have access to it easily. I don't know if you can see that or not, but if I could mount it here, that'd be the great way to do it. But they don't have anything. They have no way of mounting this. So that was not included in their design for whatever reason. So yeah, that's that. Let's see. The next thing is let me unplug this. I don't want to leave it on while I'm moving things around that are electric. Let me remount my rods that I redid. That's what those two screws were that I had laying around. And I put them in here. I think these are the 16s. Don't want to use 20s. You want to use 16s on these. Remember that. I put a note. Somebody asked me about it, and I said this is what I did. How I solved the problem of why the nuts wouldn't go into it. This is a 20. You don't want to use a 20. Too long. No 20s. No 20s, people. No 20s. That's a 20. That looks like a 16 right there. Yeah. Or 15 or 16 or whatever it is. So this is one of the 16s. That's going to hold the rod back up here on the wire holder, or the belt holder. And you'll excuse me on that, but I call it a sled. Why they call it a belt holder? It's a sled. It slides up and down. You know, it's a sled. But whatever. They call it what they want. It's their design. Find my couple of 10s I threw back in here. Oh, there. There's one. Get it through there and into here. Maybe. There we go. Maybe I can get it. Put my T-handle in there first to help control it. Get that started. That gets that effector in, or that rod in place. The effector rod. And then we'll come over to the other side and put the other one on. My M316 into the slot, or into the hole on the sled. Okay, we're in the nut now. Grab my other. Where is it? Oh. There it is. My last M310. Last M310 that came with this kit. I have lots of M310s. I have lots of M316s. I have lots of other ones. But you don't care about that. Get that in there. Started. Okay, so now I got all my effector rods in place. I showed this before. Find it here. Right here. So this goes on here. The nozzle, so you got a larger plastic fitting, and the nozzle itself screws into this fitting. I don't know what size is what on the nozzles. I have all the sizes because that was so for all of us who backed on Kickstarter, we got all the nozzles because that was one of the stretch goals was getting all the nozzles, and so we got all the nozzles. The other stretch goal that came as part of this whole project was a piece of wood. This is what, so you can place it on here, and that's what you're going to print onto. You can also print on the plate. I don't know. Does the wood really matter? I guess so you can pick up the whole thing, you just pull it off, and you walk away with it. It doesn't stay in place, so I don't know what good that is really going to do. Okay, so you put this extruder on. I'm going to turn it let's see. Turn this so the display is facing me. This is going to go on. I want my connector for the power for the motor to go on this side over here because that's where my pump is going to be at. So my extruder is going to be on the opposite side. And then you just screw this right in, and that will hold this in place. And I'm going to need to get a larger wrench to tighten this with. but that's basically how you put it together there. I have a couple of these because I ordered the 3-in-1 kit. So I actually have another one I can put together. I also have the air system, because here's the kit for the air. But I think the Pro Extruder is better than the air. And I'm going to go find a wrench, so I'm going to take another pause here. I'll stop the camera. That way we keep the video a little bit shorter. And we'll go from there. So I'm going to go find a wrench that fits that so I can tighten this up tight. So this isn't loose running around. And then this wire here that we put through the top, this is the wire that runs that motor. Like I said, I've already got the green and red crossed. You'll have to cross them, otherwise it won't work correctly. I don't know why they do that. Truthfully, you should be able to just, they should just have a switch or something on the control board that swaps that. But it seems to be a common thing, because I've had this many times on other printers where I got to swap those wires. So this isn't the only one. So people who think that's unusual, it's really not. It's very common. Let's see. What else? Anything else? Okay, we'll take a break here. I'm going to go find a wrench to fit that. Probably metric because it came from China. So we'll, like I said, find a wrench and I'll be back.